So last night I watched newly added to Hulu, Dressed to Kill. This is from 1980, written and directed by Brian De Palma. This is another one of his sexy thriller type things. Yeah, it's concerns this Angie Dickinson. She plays this lady Kate, horny middle-aged housewife. You get to see her shower, and she's fantasizing about some guy. You thinking presumably her husband in the shower, and she's soaping up her boobs and everything. And yeah, you're getting a good look at that. And it's very steamy in there. And then someone comes from behind her and like attacks her, but she wakes up or something. But she's getting like piled by her husband, but she's kind of going through the motions with the fake orgasms, and that saucy stuff, right? Talks to her kid, her son, who is like an inventor type. He's played by Keith Gordon. You may recognize him from what was it, Christine, right? He had the car in that movie. So she then heads over to this museum, sees this guy. He looked like the one in her fantasy. And she like drops a glove, and she's like, the guy sits next to her, and she's kind of into this dude and stuff, right? But he doesn't want to talk to her, and this cat and mouse thing goes on for way too long. Eventually, he comes by with her glove on, touches her on the shoulder. She overreacts, runs away, runs off down outside the museum. Tries to catch up with the guy again. It's like, oh, that was the guy I was fantasizing about. Sees him in a taxi. He's waving at her with her glove on, and she gets in the taxi. He immediately kisses her and screws her in the taxi cab. Then takes her back to his place, and now she's like, well, it's late, whatever. I guess I'm gonna go while he's still asleep. She's looking through some stuff. It says, hey, you need to contact a doctor. You have venereal disease. It's like, ha ha, you got what you deserve, bitch. Then she walks down the hallway, gets in the elevator, and some woman comes by with a razor blade, a straight edge, slashes her to death. The elevator door opens up, and we have Karen Allen. No, actually, God damn it, it's Nancy Allen, from RoboCop, right? Lewis. And she's talking to some guy, and the guy, like, freaks out when the elevator door opens because, dead body down there, dying, bleedy lady, right? He runs off. And she turns around and is like, what's the deal? Looks in the elevator, and bam, it's Angie Dickinson, bleeding out over there. She like tries to extend a hand to help her, but this lady is right inside the elevator, about to slash her if she sticks her hand in there. Pulls her hand back, but the lady drops the razor. Nancy Allen picks it up, and now she's got the murder weapon, right? Well, because Angie Dickinson died. She goes and talks to like Sifowitz over at the police office, and he's like all wisecracky. I think this is this the first time Dennis Franz is a cop? I'm trying to think here. It may not be, but I mean, this guy books cop almost as much as Reginald VelJohnson. Carl Winslow, Lieutenant Al Powell, right? So, yeah, Dennis Franz is going over here, and he's like, hey, so it could have been you, lady. Well, I had to witness stuff, but I'm a lady of the night. I didn't really want to disclose that. I can't give away my clients, all this stuff. Well, he then talks to the son, Keith Gordon, and he's like listening in on some of these things. He has some various devices. He's listening through the walls. He gets information from Michael Caine, this doctor, this psychiatrist that Kate was seeing. She seems to have some sex addiction thing going, or issues. And she wanted to hook up with him, but he's like, nope, can't, I'm married. Well, now this blonde lady seems to be chasing people around. Left this voicemail saying, hey, this is Bobby. And it's like a transvestite type voice saying, hey, I stole your razor, and I'm taking people out. You wouldn't okay my surgery, so I went to another doctor, and he said he would, but yeah, I'm getting some revenge. I killed your client and all this stuff. So it's like Michael Caine seems to be involved in this in some way, but we're mostly focusing on Nancy Allen, Liz, the prostitute. She's being chased around the town. I suppose this is New York because there's subways and what. And she's trying to lose this person telling her, the tranny. We're just gonna call it tranny for now on. But so then she's like, get in the cab. She gets on the subway, and then Keith Gordon comes by and he like saves her with some homemade mace, and it didn't need to be needed. They find out that this person that they're looking for is also seeing psychiatrist Michael Caine, so they need to find out who it is, and they can learn some more about who they need to stop and get the cops on them. And it seems to go it runs pretty quick and brisk here. This movie doesn't tag behind except for near the beginning when you're following Angie Dickinson through the museum, because then it's just lights out. We got to go catch this person. Let's work together. Mom and son and prostitute over here, and it's like weird relationship going down there. But then they get over to the office, and Nancy Allen has to look at the sheet, try to figure out who this could be, and she like seduces Michael Caine a bit. She walks around lingerie some, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to go in on this too, but it's rainy outside. Keith Gordon can't really spectate too well with the binoculars because, he wants to see some Nancy Allen, right? Some Lewis from RoboCop. And then the big surprise comes in. The lady comes and like attacks Keith Gordon, and it's like, oh no, but there's somebody else dressed up as this lady inside the office too. Nancy Allen walks back into the office. She's like, hey, I'm ready to do you. And I've got my laundry, I powered my nose, all this stuff. And he's like, no, Keith Gordon, like bang on the window. No, there's someone behind you, watch out. And then boom, the lady that is attacking Keith Gordon shoots the lady that is actually Michael Caine, spoilers, and like knocks him to the ground stuff. And it's like, okay, so now we're talking to Sifowitz, and he's going through the whole thing, and it turns out that Michael Caine is Bobby. So Dr. Robert, the psychiatrist, Michael Caine, is actually Bobby, who he has an alter ego, two personalities living one body. They're not cooperating. He doesn't want to go through sex change, seems to be the one denying it. But he also seems to be totally unaware of this, because he goes and does some investigating too, and it's like, so he went to go see the psychiatrist about Bobby, and it's like the psychiatrist realized, hey, wait a minute, this is Bobby's man form, and they don't seem to be acknowledging the existence of each other. I'm going to call the cops. Let the guy walk out of the facility. Plus, how does this guy get to become a psychiatrist with this issue? How does that make sense? I'm also have raised some questions here about this guy that Angie Dickinson meets, because I'm kind of under the impression that the person who killed her knows she was leaving the place. So wouldn't that be a third? Shouldn't that be Michael Caine's character in a third a third disguise, right? A third persona that maybe she doesn't recognize either, has like dark hair, mysterious sunglasses on, right? But it's a different person. And that doesn't really make sense. That how did they know that? How did Michael Caine know she was going to be staying the night at his place like that to kill her? If the idea is that Michael Caine's also the blonde trans lady in drag killing people, right? Yeah, not totally airtight right there. But now we have this scene in the mental hospital. Michael Caine's like asleep, chokes out the nurse who wears almost nothing under her jacket. Seems to take her clothes, put them on, go over to Angie Dickinson's house, I guess, where for some reason Nancy Allen's staying. Isn't that the idea? Or was Keith Gordon staying at her place? What was the deal with that? Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's spending the night at Keith Gordon's place. Like maybe she's going to hook up with him. But she's in the shower, so this gives us a good look at her. Because it's like, oh, hey, now we got this little sequence here. She sees these feet and stockings around the corner, and she gets a little scared. She's looking around for a weapon, and the next thing she knows, boom, moves in on her, attacks her, slices her throat. But it's a dream. Like Carrie. Except at the end of Carrie, it was a little more satisfying because it was a shorter punch. Just a little scared you. In this movie, it felt out of place. It felt like a prolonged extra act just for the sake of, hey, now we get to show you some boobs. This wasn't an awful movie, but I wouldn't quite recommend it. Like I said, I feel like some things are not fleshed out to the point that they're not quite plot holes, but maybe there's some convenience in here that's just a little too hard to swallow. But overall, I give Dressed to Kill from 1980 2.5 out of 4 stars.